June 10th, 2016, Gresham, Oregon. A 911 dispatcher picks up a call that will define the next 3 years of an investigation.
911. Oh, I'm trying to kill me. 911, how can I help you? I'm trying to kill me. What happened? I'm really bad for stabbing. Somebody tried. Where is this person at now? I'm not here. Do you need an ambulance? No. No. Do you know the name of the person that did this to you? No.
A woman attacked inside her own home, stabbed, bleeding, still conscious. She stays on the line for 6 minutes. She gives her address. She makes sure they're coming. Her name was Anastasia Hester. Everyone who loved her called her Annie. Officers arrived to find a scene of sustained, deliberate violence. Annie had been stabbed more than 60 times with 3 separate knives. The attack had lasted approximately 3.5 hours. There were defensive wounds on her hands, face, and neck. The letters VXV were carved into her shoulder. A ground floor window unit had been removed from outside, a cinder block placed beneath it as a step. Annie was transported to hospital. She never regained the ability to speak to detectives. She was pronounced dead.
A murder suspect on the loose, and now people in southwest Gresham are on edge as officers and volunteers scour the Springwater Trail for any clues. It was a mom who was murdered at a Gresham apartment complex early this morning.
Detectives still on the scene right now after arriving there just about 3 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, we're going on 15, 16 hours in this investigation now, and we just got this picture just in the last few minutes of Anastasia Hester, 38 years old. That is the woman that Gresham police say was murdered overnight. Now, who killed her? Did she know that person, that suspect? Well, that's still a mystery as the investigation spreads from her apartment complex to the woods and the waters across the street.
This popular path blocked off now by police tape and detectives and search and rescue volunteers for the second and third time, looking for anything that might lead them to whoever murdered a mother in the middle of the night at the East Park Apartments. There were no signs anyone forced their way into the woman's apartment. The mother of one daughter was stabbed several times, but still called 911. A detective rode with her to the hospital in case she could say who did it. She died before she could.
Now, police aren't investigating only in the Springwater corridor, but the neighborhoods surrounding this area. They are urging residents to keep their doors and windows locked. As for that little girl, we are told she is normally here at the apartment complex. She was not here last night, and physically, we're told she is fine.
Anastasia Hester was born in 1981 in Portland and raised in Gresham. She was 34 years old at the time of her death. She worked as a floor supervisor at a waste management company, took additional hours at an after-school program, and ran a small face-painting business on weekends. Her 4-year-old daughter Alice was the center of everything she did. Annie had been divorced since 2012. Her ex-husband, Matthew Hester, co-parented Alice, and for a time the arrangement functioned. Then, in September 2014, Matthew married a woman named Angela Rose McCra. The equilibrium that had held for 2 years collapsed entirely. Angela McCra arrived in Matthew's life on Social Security disability with 3 children from a prior relationship. She was not employed. She diagnosed each of her children, without medical corroboration, with developmental conditions and would make the same claims about Alice in time. From the start, Angela framed Annie to Matthew as abusive, unstable, and unfit. Matthew aligned himself with that narrative. He stopped paying child support. Arrears accumulated. Annie pursued him through the courts for the unpaid support, for legal fees, for custody. In May 2016, a family court judge awarded Annie full custody of Alice. The financial pressure was now paired with the custody loss Angela had worked to prevent. Annie had won on every front. The motive was not complicated. Money, child support Matthew owed and could not escape. Custody? The child Angela had decided was hers to control. And jealousy, the consuming kind that cannot tolerate another person's continued existence.
Police, unfortunately, they're no closer to solving this mystery than they were yesterday. They still don't know who killed Anastasia Hester. In fact, they say they need the public's help in finding out. We did talk to a family member who didn't want to go on camera, who said they feel it's a stranger because Anastasia, they said, did not have any enemies. Now, yesterday, Multnomah County search and rescue teams were out assisting with this investigation, combing through the dense brush near the Springwater Trail, looking for any clues to try to figure out just who might want to do this to this young mom.
I know Annie was a fighter, and I know whatever the circumstances were surrounding whatever happened, she went down with the fight, because that's just the way her spirit was. I know in my heart that it wasn't easy for this person to just come in.
Alice was with Matthew that evening on a scheduled visitation. Annie was alone. The building was not silent that night. Multiple neighbors later told investigators they had heard screaming. The attack had begun sometime after 11 p.m. and continued for nearly 3.5 hours. One neighbor admitted that, yes, he had heard it and had turned up his television volume to cover the sound. He did not call 911. He went to sleep. No one in that building made a call, not once across those 3.5 hours. It was Annie who placed the call. Alone with wounds that should have rendered her incapacitated, she found her phone and dialed. She stayed on the line for 6 minutes. Within days, investigators brought in Matthew and Angela separately. Both gave identical accounts. They had been home all night, together. They had not gone out. They presented not as suspects, but as a grieving couple. Angela expressed concern for Alice. Matthew discussed the custody arrangement. Neither showed what detectives were watching for. Matthew Hester.
So I guess, obviously I told you at the house that your ex-wife is deceased. But you didn't say how or anything like that, and we'll talk about that in a minute or two.
She said that she had been stabbed. Officers responded down there. She had been injured. She was transported to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. And at this point, we're investigating this as homicide. Ex-wife say anything about having any problems with anyone?
I don't talk about her personal life.
Initial interview stated he had been at home with Angela and the children the entire evening of June 9th.
So what were you and Angela doing last night?
Sleeping.
Okay. Do you know what time you went to bed?
I usually get into bed around 10 o'clock.
Okay. And was Angela with you, or was she staying up doing other things?
She was with me in bed.
Could not account for the vehicle's absence from the driveway. Expressed no knowledge of how Annie came to be harmed. Presented no hostility. Angela McCra Hester. Initial interview corroborated Matthew's account without hesitation. Framed her relationship with Annie as difficult but not malicious. Did not appear agitated. Did not contradict herself on any point that could be immediately tested.
I was on the verge of falling asleep to some criminal minds.
Any chance that Matthew could have gone anywhere sometime during the night?
Oh God, every time he moves he wakes me up, so it's not a possibility. And I sleep like literally right up against him in his arms.
Nothing broke. No confession. No witness placing either of them near the scene. No forensic result yet conclusive enough to act on. The couple returned home.
The public know that this person is still at large.
And the stabbing happened right across the street from the notorious Springwater Trail. Police bringing in search and rescue teams and a helicopter as the manhunt continues.
As long as it takes. I don't have an answer on how long we're going to be out there. If there's some good evidence or clues out there that we find, we'll search throughout the night. If we need daylight, we'll hold it over the evening and then work tomorrow morning.
So far, police leads are thin. Meanwhile, neighbors who live in this area say being so close to the Springwater corridor has brought many transient wanderers into their community.
They bring drugs with them, and like, if I have my kids around here, you never know what type of sicko is out there, because a lot of homeless people, they have mental health problems. So
Major Crimes is investigating. Anyone with information is urged to call police immediately.
They attended Annie's memorial service. They appeared sorrowful. They sat among people who had loved Annie and did not flinch. It was at that service that an undercover detective seated nearby observed a fresh 1.5-inch cut on the back of Angela's right hand. Surveillance footage was the first crack in their account. A camera near their residence captured the couple's silver SUV leaving the driveway at 10:58 p.m. on June 9th, traveling the route toward Annie's apartment. A second camera picked up a matching vehicle near the complex shortly after 11 p.m. The same SUV appeared on footage again at approximately 3 a.m., returning home. minutes after Annie had placed her 911 call. They had not been home all night. The cameras had been there.
It's been 1 year since the brutal murder of a Gresham mother, and whoever killed her is still out there. Now there's reward for information about who killed her.
It's been a long, devastating year for the family of Anastasia Hester.
I really thought we'd have something before now. I mean, Anne's murder was brutal. I would hate another mother to have to do what we've had to do. I don't have the words for how bad it is.
A year later, detectives tell me the case is far from cold, but remains unsolved.
Do you think it's a stranger or somebody she knows?
We're not sure. We haven't ruled out either at this point.
She was a good person. She really was. I don't understand how anybody would want to do this to her. They took somebody out of this world that deserved to be here. She had a little girl that needed her to raise her. I don't know how the hell they could live with themselves.
The family is asking anyone with information about Anne's murder to come forward to police.
Whoever did this has to be found. Has to be.
Forensic results assembled the rest. Bloody boot prints at the scene matched a women's size 9.5 boot purchased by Angela at a retail store in 2015. DNA recovered from the knife block in Annie's kitchen matched Angela. Additional DNA-matched bloodstaining was found in the interior of the couple's vehicle. Matthew had not merely known. He had come to the door, seen what Angela had done, cleaned the evidence from her body, and then sat across from investigators and described a quiet night at home. The forensic results were significant, but building them into a prosecutable case took time. Through 2016, investigators continued verifying footage, confirming the DNA, and tracing the boot purchase. Matthew and Angela knew they were persons of interest. At some point during that year, they made a decision. They left Oregon. The family, Matthew, Angela, and the children, relocated to Pocatello, Idaho. They settled into a new community. No public alert had been issued. No arrest warrant had yet been served. To those around them, they were simply a family that had moved. The evidence did not move with them. It waited. By October 2017, more than a year after Annie's death, investigators had what they needed. On October 4th, 2017, law enforcement located Angela Rose McCra Hester in Pocatello, Idaho, and placed her under arrest.
Detectives say they've arrested the woman behind a brutal murder tonight. This woman behind bars across state lines. It was back in June of last year when police arrived to a bloody crime scene to find 36-year-old Anastasia Hester stabbed to death in her Gresham apartment. Now, the wife of her ex-husband is in jail in Idaho. Our Cole Miller joins us live with the latest on this investigation and what comes next. Cole?
Well, Jeff, the arrest happened just this afternoon in Pocatello, Idaho. Police say Angela McCra Hester, the person you see right here, carried out that violent murder and now begins the legal process of getting her back to Oregon to face both a judge and a jury.
No! In the car. I have kids that are going to be coming home. Tell me why you're arresting me. Why am I being arrested, you stupid I have kids and dogs. I don't.
The distance had not protected her. The DNA database had her name.
You are under arrest for Anastasia's murder.
So you're saying that I killed her?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like a lawyer if that's the case.
Okay. All right.
Because I didn't. I was at home.
Matthew was arrested separately in June 2019 in Benton County, Idaho, nearly 3 years after the murder. He had cleaned the blood. He had lied to investigators.
I just want to get done so I can get home to the kids. Here's the deal, okay? Our investigation clearly shows that Angela committed the murder against Anastasia. We're not here to discuss if it happened. I don't care what you think. In fact, you've been under surveillance for the last 2 weeks by the U.S. Marshals. So we've got you walking across the parking lot at Costco, picking up soda boxes and water bottles, whatever you were doing. You're not limping, you're not walking with a cane. I'm not buying the front of my Hoja. I'm not buying it, okay? That's her. She's cut the and they tried to decapitate her. Come all the way through her jaw. Based on the evidence, I don't have a choice but to accept what she did. Okay. Like, I just woke up, my wife's panicking, all I can think of, okay, whatever you need. So I'm gonna go upstairs, I help her get in the shower. She's leaving. What are you asking her? What is she saying? She didn't say anything. She was just shaking. Did you ask her what happened to her? Why did she leave? No, I was just more getting her calm down.
He had moved his family across the state line. He had waited. Law enforcement found him anyway. Angela Rose McCra Hester pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. She admitted in open court that she had entered Annie's apartment through the removed window, that the attack was deliberate, and that she had caused Annie's death.
Angela McCra Hester made her first court appearance this morning.
We got our hands on the court documents in this case. They paint a gruesome picture of what Angela McCra Hester is accused of doing, torturing and murdering her husband's ex-wife. And we got our first look at the suspect, Angela, in Multnomah County Court earlier today. It was very brief arraignment. It wasn't until October of this year that Angela was arrested, and she waived her right to an extradition hearing. She was arrested in Idaho, waived that right to an extradition, telling officials, quote, "I just want to get this over with." Well, her husband, Matthew Hester, was also arrested in October, charged with resisting arrest and obstruction of justice, though authorities say he is not a suspect in the Gresham homicide.
And she'd claimed during the investigation that she believed Annie was abusive, a characterization supported by no legal record or independent account. The court found no mitigation in it. Angela McCra Hester was sentenced to life imprisonment. Matthew Hester pleaded guilty to solicitation to commit murder and hindering prosecution. He admitted that he and Angela had discussed killing Annie on multiple occasions. He admitted that he had solicited Angela's former husband, Aaron McCra, to carry out the murder, a request McCra declined. He admitted that when Angela returned home that night, he helped clean away the evidence. He admitted all of it. Matthew Hester was sentenced to more than 4 years in prison. Annie Hester was stabbed more than 60 times. The attack lasted 3.5 hours. A neighbor heard it, turned up his television, and went back to sleep. No one in that building called for help. Not once. Annie found her phone. She dialed. She stayed on the line for 6 minutes. She did not survive the morning, but the call she placed brought Detective Turnage to her door, opened the investigation, and began the chain that led 2 detectives, more than a year later, to an apartment in Pocatello with a warrant and a DNA match that could not be argued away. The motive was never mysterious. Matthew owed child support he refused to pay. Angela had watched a custody battle end in Annie's favor and decided she could not accept it. Jealousy, debt, and resentment, 3 things that had been building inside one household for 2 years, until they became a plan, and the plan became an act. And the act left behind blood, boot prints, and surveillance footage that a year in Idaho could not erase. Annie's parents adopted her daughter. Annie's daughter Alice was 4 years old when her mother died. She had been with her father that night, the man who, hours later, helped clean Annie's blood from the woman who killed her. Angela McCra Hester is serving life. Matthew Hester served his years, the case is closed. Annie never got to close anything, but she made the call, and in the end, that was enough.